Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Adobe Live here on Behance. Dave is back in the house, ready for day two. How are you feeling, Dave?
Day two, I'm excited. I'm feeling good today, and I think this is going to be good fun.
Oh, good. Me too. Do you know when they said, Maddy, are you up for doing a stream with David? I was like, absolutely, absolutely. We had so much fun the last time we had a stream together.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was good, wasn't it? And it's Tuesday, but it feels like a Monday for anybody that didn't work yesterday. Obviously we had a long weekend in the UK, so I hope you all had some good fun. Let us know what you've got up to as well in the chat. Pop it in and let us know anyone got up to any mischief. We were just catching up in the green room about festivals. As I've just got my voice back after being at a festival for the last long weekend. But you know, the good news is that everybody is here. So let's have a few hellos. Angus is looking forward to this today. Kirsty's here. Keshav, Matthew, Michelle, Sarah, Sean, and of course Tim as well. We're chatting in Behance today, everybody. So if you have any questions for Dave as we go, pop it in the chat. I'll make sure that they get asked. And if you're watching on YouTube, come over to Behance, as this is where the fun's at, of course, because the chat does get very mischievous at times. So
I just got to say to you, if you are on YouTube, do go to the Behance chat because they are the friendliest people online.
They are.
I genuinely, I feel absolutely safe doing this. The other shows I might be a bit like, oh my god, I'm too scared of the comments. But they are so lovely here. It's really good.
They are lovely. I got to say though, we do feel like a family actually. Like we all kind of flew lockdown together, and then we've come out the other side, and we're all still here, and we're all, you know, it's lovely. So and Tim's, but yeah, the friendliest chat ever. Very true. So yeah, so any questions for David, like let us know. And I'm really excited today because today is all about drawing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as we were saying in the green room, last time I came on, I gave Maddy the wrong impression. She thought she was ready to do some drawing. And instead I did colouring, which was no good. The colouring was fine, but it wasn't helpful to Maddy. Wow, what a start. No. So this time, to help Maddy and hopefully all of you people as well, we are going to do some drawing stuff. And it's going to be all about the super exciting world of clothing folds. which does not sound exciting, but it's one of those things which you can always see when somebody is bluffing it in an illustration. It's one, as soon as you know how somebody's like, that's not right, like this is falling backwards. And if you draw it yourself and you're not sure, it may feel a bit wonky, you're not quite sure why, and that's because your brain knows it even if you don't.
Love it.
So yeah, we're going to start off with the less exciting part of it, which is the kind of the dull explainer type, because some people will actually need to know about what kind of types of folds there are, and so I'll try not to make it too dry. And then we're going to go into I'm conscious of my hands because one of my kids tuned in briefly yesterday, and so I was really animated, and so
that's a good thing. Just be completely normal.
Really still and dry, and I'll just do it all straight.
Oh my gosh, no.
So yeah. Anyway, I'm doing this. Actually, it's good. I've got props for the clothing part. But then the bit which I'm kind of interested in, and which I think should be really useful to some of you, is for so long, whenever I was trying to learn folds and clothing, because it's really boring normally, people would just say, this is this type of fold, this is a pipe fold, and it's okay. And so I really felt like I just had to memorize folds, like all of the folds, and I thought this is madness. But then I saw something in a book which showed, and I've never seen it before, a completely different way of understanding the logic of folds, sort of like why folds are doing what they do. And that once I saw this image, which I would show everybody else how to do this, so not just to steal one image, I'll show you how to apply it to photos.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into some Adobe stock photos and grab some free stuff, so everybody can join in if they want to. You can grab it on your tablet or your screen or whatever you're doing.
Nice one.
So we can use that, and I will help people understand it, and then hopefully, much like it did with me, hopefully for some of you, it'll be like, got it. Okay, that makes so much more sense now. You don't have to memorize boring folds.
I love this, Dave. I love the fact that because you've got so much experience, all these tips are the things that are going to save us all time. So I'm here for it. Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the hope. Cool. Okay. So if we're ready to start, let's go. Let's get onto my screen here. Here we go. Folds of wrinkles aren't as scary as you think. They're made from 3 factors. So the first one, as you can see in the image here, is tension fold, which is where any kind of fabric is stretched tight. And this is also where I have props. So you've got like, so that will start to, that's causing tension, which you will see also naturally occurs like in your clothes if you do that, like that kind of thing. And anything like that pulls fabric, causes tension. So, and then we'll reveal the next part because I planned ahead. Compression, which is where everything bunches up together. So we do this, we're suddenly, if I had it all nice and straight, and then we kind of bunch it up and suddenly it's got folds because it's compressed and it's all just folding in itself. Okay, it's nice and simple.
Nice. Loving the props, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I just, let's grab some stuff in. There's a funny one in it. I've had to improvise on something. Last one is gravity. And so this is obviously when like things get pulled downwards. So as we see here, if you imagine like Batman with a cape, or like anyone, like you're washing flying on a line, anything along these lines, it moves backwards, so it's pulled in. Where's my brush? There we go.
Loving the pictures that you've done to show this, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
So good.
Let's actually not draw with white, shall we, on paper? That makes sense. Let's go red. Although I know, sorry, Tony, if you're watching, I know you're not a big fan of red.
Tony's here. Yep. I always find like a luminous pink or...
Oh, okay, let's do that, because that makes Tony and you happy at the same time. Let's do that. Nice bright pink.
Sandrine in the chat's going to be really happy with the bright colours there.
Well, there we go. I've got 3 people happy already. This day's going great. Let's make this smaller. Okay, here we go. Okay, so yeah, you imagine, wow, Batman is moving across to the right with pink, which I think would be a good look for him. I imagine all Batman in all pink instead of black. Love it.
Do it.
That'd be so good. So yeah, that would pull this. And so one of the main things to remember about any kind of, this applies to hair as well as clothes, things want to stay where they are, much like all of us do every morning when you're in bed, you don't want to move. And fabric's the same. So if you hold it up, it's all stationary, and you move, and you see as I move, my hand's pulling it, but this part, sorry, I'm looking at the reflection, this confused me. This part stays in the same place, and so it drags. And so that's why you have drag, and you've got the same with like longer hair and anything like that. So that pulls it. So Batman's moving this way. His cape wants to stay here where it started. And then as it moves, it would pull taut, but gravity is pulling down on it. And so gravity affects clothes, as we all know. Okay, that's part 1 of the boring stuff. So we're good.
This isn't boring. This is good.
This is the kind of stuff I often find quite dry. And let's kill my lovely neon pink arrows for a second. Okay, 5 types of fold. The pipe fold, which is where they look like pipes. That's why they got the name. So it's long cylinders gathered together, and they're often caused by tension. So with the long cylinders, you think any kind of curtains, anything just hanging down drapery. That's fine. Again, using my lovely yellow duster, if you see this is a point of tension, which is just my finger just putting down the stuff. And this will happen with any kind of point of tension. Fun prop.
Ooh, what's that?
Prop this. This is my master sword from Legend of Zelda.
Oh my goodness.
Because I'm a gigantic child.
So cool.
And so yeah, so anything like that, there we go, anything like that, it just hangs down from a point of tension and starts to cause those kind of pipe-looking folds.
And you know, David, Sandrine's put in the chat a really good tip actually. Sandrine says this is why we used wet fabric when doing life drawing in art school, so that there's more gravity and the folds are more defined.
Yes, that's a very good point. I'm too afraid to use any kind of wet fabric right now because I've got so much equipment near me and it would cost me so much money. But that is a fantastic tip. That's actually really good. All right. Okay, so that's part one. That's type one. Type two, spiral folds, which is where tubes, so tubular cloth on a cylinder form, like your arm or your leg, for example, that gets compressed, which is often seen like if you bunch up your sleeves. That's the kind of, well, I'm not wearing sleeves at this point, so that's not going to give that away. But as you can see here, this is basically an arm, and so you imagine like the sleeve has been pushed up in this direction, and it's caused it all to bunch. So compression again.
Yeah. I've tried to draw them. I struggled with this actually. It didn't look right, and this is
There's kind of a tip actually. That's I'm already going off book, but there's a tip. There's a tip for doing stuff like that. If we go, like, say, straight down.
Yeah.
And you want to see what like compression folds look like, because they often, if you drew, let's change the color for a second. Let's go to some paler. If you drew circles like this, and just kind of bunch them up like that as guides, then you can kill those guides. And this is kind of how the fabric would look, the way it kind of bunches up.
No way.
So you can pull it like that, and then that's obviously the more narrow you do them, but yeah, you can see it kind of there actually.
Okay.
They go like circle, circle,
so good.
circle. So and so that's like a nice, easy kind of cheat sheet way of doing it. Like if you just need, because the thing is as well actually, as I'll probably mention this a couple of times, but when you're drawing folds, you don't need, and probably shouldn't, draw every fold, certainly from research, from reference rather.
Right.
Because you get lots of what's called false folds, which are just, with the nature of chaos and fabric folds and whatnot, you'd occasionally get one that does not follow the form at all. You just get your outlier, which doesn't fit. And so if you draw that, it's not going to help you drawing. It's going to make everything look a bit weird. It's going to stand out. It's not going to follow all the lines. It might make you look confused. So you don't want any false folds. You want to, when you're drawing or painting, make everything work for you. It's your thing, your image, make it work. So
I'm loving that.
Oh, cool. Yes, so this kind of thing is like super helpful. If you just need to say, like, say it's the back of somebody's jeans or something, or like that kind of thing, just draw those in. And it's a super quick guide, and it will look convincing when it's done properly, when it's not in bright neon pink.
I'm really good. I wrote this down, and taking the mic. We got Angus is like, "Hey up," Maddy's making notes. Bingo. Then Tony's put, Mandy's "I learned something" face is priceless. And now Sean says, "I need Show's coffee cup for bingo." There you go, Sean. Hey. Bingo. This is so good, David. Honestly, I have made notes. This is
excellent.
Love
excellent.
it.
Doing it. Angus, can I get a noise in the comments for that, please?
Bingo. There you go. Capital in.
Right. Cool.
Brilliant.
Okay. That's
loving the tips. This is so good.
Let's erase that because that's in the way right
nice.
Now. There we go. Okay, next type of fold is half lock folds. These ones are kind of weird, and these take a bit of getting your brain around. So this is when, I'm just going to read it out so I don't confuse myself. Tubular cloth on a cylinder shape, but the form is bending, which often makes a teardrop shape, which is, so it's compression on one side and tension on the other. So the tension is coming from your elbow, and the compression is from like the inside of the elbow, if you imagine. So this is the teardrop.
Ooh.
Just in there. And it's the same with legs, with like trousers, if you do there. And actually sometimes you can get several of them depending on the fabric. So you probably get like 2, 3 at the most, to be honest. You won't get too many. But yeah, so that's the teardrop shape to look for in there. And the important thing, and which is often hard to see, is that sometimes it's quite subtle in clothing. So this is one of the things where you kind of need to cheat to make it more readable. Because sometimes they can almost look like that, which becomes like a weird, if I draw that bigger, let's draw it over here. So that will look like a weird tangent. And so that looks like nothing and doesn't really help because our brain kind of needs to see some depth and overlap. So in this case, to copy that one, we would cheat it slightly to make our teardrop. So then it all reads nicely.
Cool.
That's gone. The important point is this: the thicker the material, the more it will show. Now, I was actually going to put this jumper on because this jumper is like super thick, but I also don't want to knock out my headphones and suddenly cause chaos. So, so if I go like that, you can see like the angle's slightly off, but yeah, you can see the kind of thickness of it.
Yeah.
Because the thinner something is, so say your linens or your thin fabrics, they're not going to do half lock folds anywhere near the same amount because you've got to think of the mass of clothing. So a thick woolly jumper that we're all going to be wearing really soon, they need to bunch up because they've got nowhere else to go. Whereas like something thin like linen or like a t-shirt would just quickly fold on itself. Next one is diaper folds, or like nappy folds for us. This is where cloth sags between two compression points. And so the less tension there is, the greater the fold drop will be. And again, going back to my lovely duster. So we see, let's do this end because that will fit more in the camera. There we go. Okay, so that's pulling it completely tense. A little bit of tension, it starts to drop, and you can see it's hanging from those points meeting in the middle. And then, yeah, just the more I let go of the tension, the greater the fold. And so that's where you get like looser clothes and stuff will just drop down like that.
Nice. And there's a question for Matthew in the chat around, you know, is it hard to allow for over the top muscle definition when you're drawing clothes? Because there's stretchiness in suits and things like the Batman suit, for example.
That's a good question. Yeah, we can deal with some of that now. Yeah, so basically, with any kind of clothing, any kind of fabric, it will depend on what's in it. So if the thicker something gets inside the fabric, the more you get, the more tension you create. And so stuff doesn't hang as much when something's thick. So let's draw something. Let's say, okay, so let's say, okay, so go standard arm. Let's just standard arm. Okay, so this would be the shoulder joint. And so this is your point of tension, basically. So then that causes, and there's a point of tension here, which is, we'll say like the armpit part of the shirt or t-shirt or anything. So you get folds, come down and drop like that. Okay, so we'll say it's a t-shirt. Got that. So that's kind of how that works on a standard arm. So we just get it. I say standard. I'm basing that on my arm. I'm an illustrator. I just lift this all day, so you know, don't have the most muscly of arms. But okay, so let's say the same thing that's thicker. Get another one, but then this one, yeah, big cylinder. We've got some big hench person that's probably on like some kind of steroid. Sorry, not steroids. Let's say protein shakes. So let's go a bit less inflammatory. Good lord. Right, so shoulders. So shoulders there, but if the same amount of fabric can't go as far, then so for muscular character and stuff, we're talking same point tension for the t-shirt. So that goes there, but then it can't go around as far. So it kind of starts to just go to that point. And you get more, it doesn't have the rim. So it's like, let's say this guy's got the same t-shirt, and so that's the rim. But instead, so you get the points there. This part, the muscle, is going to look fairly, it's not going to bother anything, but we'll say that it's going to cause tension folds instead.
Right.
And so you get tension folds that will just go like straight across rather than dropping down. It's not as loose. So yeah, with certain stuff, say superheroes. I'm drawing all over this. This is amazing.
Cool.
Get rid of this faster. Bang, let's do that. Okay, so with say like superheroes or particularly strong people or anything like that, let's say we just do super strong. So we've got muscles come in there. Actually, you can see some of the stuff sometimes with superheroes you kind of exaggerate. So massive, great big arm.
Yeah.
And then we just have these, if you want to do, so I think we just do indications of where the folds are, which then makes people absolutely huge. You go like, okay, it's wrapping around there, it's wrapping around there, and it's all just really figure hugging.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more how that happens. There's not nearly as much drapery on particularly busted
Not
people.
much drapery, but more tension.
Way more tension. And that's why you'll get like when you get particularly like younger people or particularly skinny people, if they wear clothes, you get two extremes. So you either get it looks similar, there's loads of compression because they're wearing super skinny stuff to show it off, or it will just hang like kind of like drapery and stuff. So like say you get like a skinny person, they wear a top and it will just do that kind of thing.
Yeah. There is the chat has moved on from muscles to cod pieces, which we might not need to go there, but you know, I would imagine that it's a similar.
Do you know what? As a slight spoiler to what's going on, hang on. One of the stock photos I have, I went into Adobe Stock and I thought, let's get like a sporting thing because you'll get some good twists and movement and form and stuff, right? And so I picked baseball, thinking, you know, this would be good. And I saw this one on the left, and I thought, wow, this is great. There's loads of stuff going on here. And then I saw the basketball player. I am not drawing the points of tension on that guy. So that's when you can do, like, after the show, everybody's watching. You can follow that one as homework later if you so choose.
Brilliant.
But yes, so yes, but in fairness, there's a decent question as much as it's funny. Codpiece and stuff, they do matter because I once saw an illustration of the Incredible Hulk. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to bother Googling it because that's going to be impossible to find at this time. But basically what happened, you had this really well rendered Hulk. This was his waist, so this is not going to be really well rendered, but you kind of get the idea. And so you had his waist and his legs are coming out here like this. And he's got his Hulk pants. And I never thought we'd be talking about Hulk pants on Adobe Live. This is so weird.
Well, there you go. This is what happened.
and you see what the artist did. He was clearly embarrassed about drawing any kind of Hulk bulge, I guess. And so he literally drew tension lines all the way across.
Oh.
Which suddenly and then somebody posted a thing with it, and it was so I could not stop laughing. They had the exact image, just with a speech bubble added, saying, "Arg, why there no bulge in Hulk pants?" and it's like, yeah, it's really, really strange, and so it does. Yeah. It does. There we go. You find that the 3 days of David on Adobe Live have been cancelled now, and. There we go. So yeah, cod pieces. Anyway, where were we? Last type of fold, zigzag folds. Again, this is formed by compression, and it's found in thicker clothing like jeans, because they have like clothing memory, if you like. You'll notice this if you wear the same thing again and again and again, the back of your jean. Linen shirts have a really good memory, so you'll see that like almost straight away if you've got anything linen. There we go. And so they're always uneven. And again, this is basically similar to the This is similar to the other trick which I showed you, which is where you just can do diamonds and just don't finish some of them.
So just draw diamonds. Okay.
Yeah.
I might write this down as well. This is so good.
These are all things which are helpful. It's like a nice shorthand that works.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't need to torture, and especially like if you're on a bit of a production line, which a lot of us are, you don't always have time to research like the perfect reference photo for the angle you're looking for with the right folds and stuff. And so it's good to know this stuff in the back of your head. So I mean, because that looks perfectly convincing. You read this, just weird sort of scribbles. This is quite clearly the back of somebody's jeans. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's kind of nothing to, I mean, it's just a load of abstract shapes. If you just showed that to somebody without context, they wouldn't know. They just, I don't know, I'm looking at angles. But you can see it, your brain reads it because we recognize all of these things.
Love it. Hey, there was a question, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was from, but there's a question about if you do any online, if you've got any other videos about folds and any courses on folds.
No, but you know what? Maybe I should do something. That's a really good point. So yeah, no, I might start looking into that because I've been studying a lot of this stuff recently, and to prove it, actually, I'm going to be referring to this later. I've got let's go from the start. I've been taking like loads and loads of notes and stuff on clothing folds, which here, like this kind of thing. So yeah, I've been studying, and it makes sense to actually just share that stuff along because there's no point keeping it to yourself.
And then Matthew asked a question: are there any types of clothes or fabrics that don't have a natural fold, or behave in an unusual way which you wouldn't expect?
The thickness can make a difference. Say, let's go to one of my props. If there's something thicker, unfortunately I don't have my leather jacket in the office, that would have been really good. If it's something thicker, something changes. But so we do a slight thing. Okay, so suit jacket. The shoulders, well, there we go. The shoulders are quite solid. There's some slight padding in them. So if I do that, you can see the shape, it forms like a triangle. And that's not moving. My arm's moving, and you can see where like my arm starts, but you get like an artificial shoulder thing there. Whereas if I do this normally, you can just see stuff just moving around like the top of my arm there, and it's not you can see it following the shape of my arm. That's why I wore this green t-shirt today, by the way, so it's nice and visible. It really shows up. If I wear something dark, I'd be like saying, you see this line? No, you can't.
You're definitely visible, David, don't worry.
Yes, do you know what, in the sun, this t-shirt, crikey. It's like really? cars swerve off the road as it just blinds them. It genuinely, I will get on a particularly sunny day, it will just, the glow bounces off this t-shirt. But so yeah, that's why I picked this one today. I don't often wear this one, certainly not for streams.
Love it, love it. And you do have one more question from Philip asking whether you stand all the time or if it's just standing for live streams.
I stand all the time. I stand all the time. It's I want to say it's about 10 years now. I think I read something about how like standing is killing you, and I'd already had okay, story time. When I first started my career in illustration, I was like drawing all the time, sat down, and I developed RSI and repetitive strain injury. It was so bad, and bear in mind I was only like 20 something. It was so bad I could not hold a pen. It felt, and it turned out I had nerve damage in my arm, which basically, nerve damage in your arm, if you've not heard nerve damage, it feels like fire inside you, which won't go away. It sucks. And so to get that, I put up with it for a long time, which was really dumb. And I kept like just like waiting, taking breaks and coming back to it and stuff. I'm going to get it looked at, which I would encourage any of you to do. If you're in the creative industry, which I'm assuming you are if you're watching this, get stuff looked at, do not leave it. And so after that, I became really good. I do all my stretches every day, and I tried to think about, I was very careful with my posture. And then I said, well, no, sitting down is really bad. And I draw a lot. So I'm just gonna be sat down all day. And all of my interests are like reading comics or watching films. Like everything is very sedentary. So when I saw about standing desk, when I used to work in retail, I used to work at a customer services place. And so I knew I had it in me to be able to stand up and do stuff all day. And so then I got an adjustable desk. And yeah, it's really good because, I mean, it takes a couple of days maybe getting used to because your energy levels are different. But no, now it's great all day long. And I've got I'm trying to move around, shake the camera too much. But yeah, my Cintiq's on an arm because my neck started to get a bit bad because I was slightly leaning down just on where it was on the table. And so everything is to keep me healthy as possible so I can do it for as long as possible. I mean, it does help for streams because it does mean that I can move around and like speak well and things.
Yeah.
But no, it's great for all of your long-term health, which is kind of an investment in itself. So yeah, so standing up I can completely recommend. It sometimes takes a little bit of time to get used to, but it is worth it.
Cool. No, yeah, good to share. I think you've shared your office setup with us before, actually, on a previous stream, and you've got quite a cool setup over there.
Oh, thanks. It's got there. It makes a change. I used to be in this tiny little box room. Ooh.
That was
Sorry,
my watch. My
Oh,
watch
okay.
started speaking. I was like, no, Siri. It's like buying standing desk.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, sorry for however much that just cost you. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. It's yeah, my office used to be very, very pokey and small for a very long time, and so eventually I thought, no, I need to do proper stuff. This is now a garage conversion.
We're halfway through the stream, everybody, by the way.
Geez.
It's 12:30. How is it 12:30? I feel like I've made loads of notes. We've been speaking a lot about, I mean, these folds are, honestly, I know we haven't got to other parts of the drawing yet, but this is so valuable. Honestly, this is just amazing.
Oh, cool.
Everybody that's watching on YouTube, you know, come over to Behance, pop your questions in the chat. I'm getting them all asked. You know, so, you know, any questions you have, let us know. And pop it in the chat. All right.
Sorry, ill-timed choice for a drink there. Cool. Okay. Now, let's see. I'm going to show everybody how the logic of folds. This is the good bit. This is the bit which is going to change people's lives. No hyperbole. This is good fun stuff. So right, let's hide that. Let's bring up from Adobe stock. Just searched baseball.
Oh yeah, Tim put the link to these stock images in the chat, by the way, everybody. So scroll back up if you want to do this whilst David's doing this. Scroll up in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could do this with any image at all. But I'll basically take you through and show a few examples of what I'm doing, and then it will start to make sense. And then suddenly you'll see how all the fold stuff I mentioned in the first half applies to this, and how you can use it. So let's just go for a new layer. I want to change my pencil slightly. Let's go to one of mine. There we go. Okay, so I've got one with a bit of build up, but I've lost my pink. Cool. Okay, so we just need to do a tiny bit of breaking down of the guy's body underneath, but not anything too much. You don't need to know loads about anatomy to do this. We just need basic geometric shapes. So we go circle for the shoulder, and then we can go like that for the ribs. And then we'll say it says main ribs about here. Don't stress too much if you worry about proportions and stuff. This is just like a vague example of what's going on. Let's just do a cylinder here. Or draw half a cylinder because we don't need all the information. We've got another, this is like a cylinder here. Ignore this one, actually. This is going to be a bit, that might be a bit weird for people to take in. So let's do this arm instead, because that's much clearer. So we go cylinder there for the arm.
It's such a good way to learn, actually, drawing over images already.
Yeah, it's funny because when I'm drawing stuff for my comics and whatnot, I won't draw over anything because it will kill any kind of energy or momentum that your characters have, your images have. So it's not ideal to trace for that, but for learning purposes, absolutely. This stuff, because this takes all the time of, like, say I was drawing it, or like anybody watching was drawing it, and you get the proportions a bit wrong or something's weird, and then you're spending way more time just thinking about that than trying to get the body right and think, oh no, this isn't right, no, the spine's, I don't know. Basically, that's why I brought up the images with photos, because you can start to get this sorted in your head.
Clever.
So let's go cylinder there, bang, bang. Okay, so we've got those as generic things. Let's say kind of a rhombus, I want to say. Somebody will tell me if I just name the wrong shape, that's fine. Okay, cool. So we've got the shapes in, basically. So that's one. Let's knock the opacity down on that so you can see what I'm doing now. Another layer. Let's go blue. Okay, so with this, we can see that there's, with this point of tension here, from the shoulder, from the arm, we've got a line which is going to go, and it's being pulled over to this direction. Oops, that's kind of wrong. Try again, that was badly drawn. So whoosh like that until you get like a, things are going down there. Now they're being pulled slightly because of just the way the fabric is. This is the heavier part, which is pulling it down. And you've got a point of tension here, which is going to pull the fabric around to the bottom, which you can see, and then you get another line coming up from, sorry, that's a point of tension on the elbow. And so it pulls a line there, and then you've got it, but it gets brought in by the cuff. So whereas normally the point of tension would be up here, so you get a longer sleeve, because of the tight cuff, it's just going to go there. Okay, so if we hide that guy for a second, you can already see how this is taking shape. Again, we've got point of tension here, and it's got to follow around the shape. Now, the way I'm working this out, I've realized I've slightly skipped a step, is, and this is the really cool thing, is if we then work out, this is the big thing, so I use a different kind of color, let's go bright blue. Work out the areas where things are resting. Okay, so we've got part of his bicep there. And we've got the top of his arm here. And this is what you need to do in your head. So with the shoulders, shoulders there, and also the biceps there. And these are, and he's got like fake, I mean, there's like a tiny, tiny, tiny bump thing, so part of his stomach muscle, I think. But so basically, you can start to interpret where these shapes are going, because they follow from these points. And so like you see, it's like resting here, so you've got this muscle is its own point of tension, so it goes to there. This is pulling that taut, this one here, so the things come down from there. Again, without even looking, I can tell you that this is the top of the muscle, and so that's why it's dragging. It's going to drag points down, yeah, just like that, and because there's a point of tension there, so it's got to wrap around that cylinder. Let me see, hang on. If I check my notes a second, I can show you something which I learned early on. Because basically, if I can find the right page. There we go. Okay, so let's add a background layer so you're not all looking at checkerboard.
A lot of people asking for you to do some courses, you know, David. Loads of people.
Oh, cool.
Sandrine just said, I wish David did some courses. It is really helpful.
See, I always wonder, because I'm not the most organized person, like in my brain. The way I explain stuff, I tend to, as you may have noticed, I tend to meander slightly, and I get interested and excited. And
no, I'm distracting you. I highly disagree with you.
No,
you
no.
are very organized. You've got a very good process. We will make. I mean, I'm making notes. This is so good. And if we're putting in requests, right? 100% folds and eyes and like frowning and facial like emotions. That's what I would love as well. If we're putting in the requests, put them in the chat, everyone.
Yes,
Put them in.
Yeah, do. Yeah, you can think of my next 200
throwing
streams.
them to David, right? Seriously, honestly, this is so good.
Faces is a good idea.
Ooh, hands and feet, both Sandrine and Matthew at the same time.
Oh,
hands and feet. There you go.
Do you know what? That's good. I won't do that today.
No,
because I could, but because I could go off on. I was really tempted to say, "Oh yeah, I can do this." Yeah, there's a kind of, there is a breaking down thing. So at some other point, if the Adobe gods will allow, then yeah, I can come back. I can sort that kind of stuff, because it's all about breaking stuff down into simplistic form.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so a tip with, because I just realized I've started to draw this, and I'm just going ahead with something I know but nobody else has been told. So we're gonna do, what you see, don't draw with white. Okay, so a cylinder. So let's pick your arm. So let's go cylinder. So you've got a cylinder like that, and then we've got fabric. If you pull, so you've got point of tension here. So anything pulls on a fabric across like this, you get, it will go, and the fabric starts here, it will pull over to that point. Okay, so that should make sense so far. If I add a bit of shading just to go like, okay, so that's the, imagine that's pulling a bit of fabric. Now what always happens, without fail, when you do this, you grab this bit of fabric and put it to a side, you get an extra triangle, like an extra bit of fabric. So it always pulls across like that, and you get this extra bit, which let's shade in a bit there. So this section will always occur when you pull something up like that, which is super useful, because say when you've got, let me think, let's draw, so this could be either an arm or a leg with these cylinders. Okay, so we've got 2 cylinders, so take your pick. So you've got 2 cylinders, and then let's add in either an elbow or a knee joint for fun. So what happens, you've got your compression. So this is your point of tension, so we're pulling here, which causes compressed folds, which come out to the top part here. So we go like bang, bang, like that. But you have to say bang when you do it, by the way. It's very important. You need to say
that makes all the difference.
It really does. It is something that they teach you that in your degree. Right? It's like super important. So again, you'd have this triangle that should be here, and let's move that so it doesn't get too confused. This is looking pretty sketchy. So move it down like this. Okay, cool. Back to the brush. Fine. Go away. Thank you. There we go. Right. It's also good to say thanks to your computer, just in case it becomes self-aware.
Just in case. Well, do you know what though? They're always listening. Like my watch has just ordered me a standing desk. So
yeah, well it knows. Yeah, it's already going to do it. Then it's already applied for a credit card as well for that standing desk. No, it's do you know what? As a side note, I always say thank you to my Siri afterwards. And
I do. Yeah.
I have to do it, and I just think like I feel like a mental patient, because I would do it in front of people as well, not just by myself. And even when I'm running in the morning, I'm running and like my Siri's just working off my AirPods, and I'll be like, hey, change track please, and I'll say please as well, and then I've got to say thank you afterwards. It's like I'm doing a run in the morning, and what am I doing?
I do that with alarms when I'm setting, if I'm cooking. I'll look at the thing and I'll be like, set an alarm for 25 minutes. And then it goes, we set an alarm. And then I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah. See, which is fine, because that means when the AI takes over, then we're going to be safe. They'll be a bit more lenient with us when they destroy everybody else. We're going to be a bit better position.
That's what Tim said in the chat. He said, only David and Maddy will be spared.
Yes, see, Tim, you think you're clever. We're going to survive.
My eyes are watering already.
I'm not going to antagonize Tim. Actually, he's in charge of the stream. I don't know what he's going to do.
More emotional recorder.
Yeah, I love you, Tim. You're the best. Okay, so yes, you've got these triangles again, going back onto the topic. So you get these triangles of fabric. And that occurs so often. So with here, if he was wearing a t-shirt, which is not in this case, but if he were to wear a t-shirt, that would then fall down there, and so you would have your lines like that. Actually, I should probably draw a thick. This is quite good. And so you've got your your diaper fold, as it were, would occur from there, the hanging fold, the drop fold, whatever you want to call it. This all bumps up on the arm, and there'll be something coming down there. I can't remember how the top went out, so let's assume roughly there. That feels about right. Let's see. Like that. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so and so it will start to train you to go, okay, well this is, you identify your point of attention, that's that, and it will move up, and then you can say, okay, point of attention. So then you've got your basic folds there. So you go, okay, cool, that's kind of what your starting point is, and if you hide all the extra kind of sketchy stuff, and I drew some on different layers, but okay, so you can't hide all the sketchy stuff, but if you imagine, let's just go select color. What's going on? I can't see select color range. There we go. I lost it for a second. Let's just do that. Fuzzy this down to nothing. Okay, forget it. But if we erase on whichever layer this was, you can see. Normally you do this on separate layers if you're drawing in Photoshop, just to make life easy for yourself. Yeah, so you can get rid of the guide stuff, and you can see that's basically, that would be how that helps you draw. Yeah. That. Okay, so let's prove that wasn't a fluke. Let's go. Let's do this one, and we're not going to do
the basketball
player. In fact, let's crop this out. So let's just focus on the one thing.
Sandrine and Matthew in the chat are asking, where can we find your comics?
Oh, you stars. Thank you, Sandrine and Matthew. Lovely. Yeah, I currently have on Kickstarter right this second. It's got about 2 days left. So if you search, I don't know if my name will bring it up. It's called Chances Are, as in CHANCESARE, and it's written by Matt Garvey. That's still got a few days left, and that's quite cool because it's the first comic that we've done together, and I didn't realize Matt was going to do this. It was a lovely surprise because my style's changed a bit over the last 6 months or so, and it's much more. I did like a load of studying of black and white comic artists to try to develop my skills further, and I went from quite an animated look with my like a cartoon. And it's much more kind of gritty and like ink based almost, but it's all digital. But and so it looks a bit more like gritty and grimier. And so I've been drawing for black and white first before we color it. And Matt really liked the stuff, and so he didn't tell me he was going to do this. So there's actually 2 versions available on the Kickstarter. You can get the color version, which is really cool, but you can also get the black and white version, which is just completely, which I didn't realize Matt was going to do. But that's. Certain people, not for everybody, but certain people will love the look of a black and white comic.
Yeah. So
that's there. So yeah, feel free to buy that. It's
nice.
The one I was showing yesterday isn't available yet.
The link is in the chat. There you go. Matt's put it in the chat.
Oh, thank you.
Nice.
Right, let's go. Let's add a layer. Fill that with white, which that shortcut Tony taught me.
Do you know, I was thinking that it's such a good practice when you're learning to draw over things, because I remember one of the first courses I did on InDesign, which Tony's course, and Tony had said, get a magazine, get a ruler, and start working out the grids of where everything is placed.
Yeah.
And you're drawing over something already created. So it's a similar thing. We're drawing over images, right, to look at where the folds.
It's exactly that. It's you're learning what's happening rather than trying to just reverse engineer it yourself at the same time. So I think you're using a different part of your brain, which is nice. So okay, so all I've done is just added a white layer and just lowered the opacity just so we can I'm assuming that works for everybody. Let's go over here. Okay, so there. So we can, because if we don't have it, you get loads of shadows and things, and they can muddy it a bit. Whereas this shows us easily. So again, same principle. Let's go. Let's go pink again. So we just identify the large areas. So again, this is going to be the area here. The reason I didn't draw. It's posterior. It says very English. That's impossible to not say and sound very English. Posterior.
It's very British, isn't it? That...
Very British.
Yeah.
So you got that there. There's, I'll only draw part that we can see. That's part of the leg. The back of the leg here. Like this. This. And then we're cutting down to.
So I can see spiral folds, tension folds, zigzag folds.
Yeah, there we go.
I've got 3. Any more? Can anyone spot any more folds in there? Any more, David? But you said there's many more. I can only see 3.
Oh, crikey.
Maybe one more in the back. One like
there'll be a half lock fold down here on his leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, technically, anything which is compression can start to look like pipe folds. Like if you start to, if people get really finicky and go, "Oh, actually, everything's a pipe fold." Yeah. Okay. It's like, yeah, sure. Right, so let's get in this blue.
And we've got about 9 minutes, by the way.
9 minutes. Okay, cool.
But
hopefully this is making sense. Hopefully,
it is absolutely.
Okay, cool. It's one of those things like it makes sense in my head, but I don't know if it. Okay, so point attention. That's one. So that shoulder's one. Do you know, I'm going to undo the cross on that shoulder just because I like having the circle of because it's a ball and socket joint, and that just helps me think. So so I have that as it is. So yeah, we go to the top layer, and then all we're doing is we're saying, okay, so from here to the top part, we know it's going around. So we go lines, those are kind of near. Let's go from the knee, so we go around, but then it actually has to stop because it's going there. But if it were to carry on, we're talking it would follow around like that to the ankle, because the ankle would be another point. And so again, now this is a slight, I was going to say a wrinkle in this, which was just, that's an unfortunate pun that was not intentional. So Tim, no need for the canned laughter. The seam causes an additional multiple points of tension, which is a slight pain for this. And so you see, this is why you get, so this is working with this, and it's all coming across.
Yeah.
Because it's, and then so when the fabric gets a bit looser, then we go around, and then we've got the triangle bit, which bags there. So that's the triangle bit. That's straight because we've got point of tension straight onto another one, and then it moves around, gets the second part. Again, because these are quite relatively tightish by the way he's positioned. He's kind of constraining, causing a lot of tension. So go around there.
And David, can I ask, how would you say, if you were thinking of shading those areas, right, where it's creasing, you see the folds, would you have the folds themselves in a lighter color and the fabric in a darker color so that the folds are lighter, or would you make the folds darker to show where there's shade between the folds?
That entirely depends on
the light, whether
you are. It's also, that's personal preference on whether you are adding shade or whether you're adding light.
Okay.
Because it's basically, it's so if you were to shade, let's just add a new layer. So you to shade, and then you would, so with your folds, it's like that's a bit.
This is the bit I'm unsure of, about where you put the darker patches, you know, like on a pair of jeans, you know.
Yeah. So okay, so let's go. Let's move my brush in a bit because I've got a bit large. Okay, so so say here we've got our folds. Yeah. Basically, if I were to shade them, I would just, like with this photo, I'd say, okay, so grab that, underneath, because we don't need to go kind of like full on. Because like this area would be shaded. Let's put it to multiply. That's actually, this is kind of what I do with my shading. It's like I've set stuff to multiply.
Same color but multiplied.
Yeah, it's I normally go for a much lighter show you very briefly. It's kind of up here, and like a kind of pinky color. And that at 100%. Let's lock that before I do anything else. Yeah, it looks like normal shading, if you see.
Yeah. Good tip. I need to save this stream. I need to save this somewhere on YouTube where I can come back to this. Brilliant. Brilliant.
But yeah, so anyway, yeah, so that's shading. And it'd be the same with if you're going to the light, then you would pick the reverse. And so you just have a look. So you go, okay, cool. So the light's hitting on this side. That's not going to really read as light, is it? Wait, let's just say red. Let's say it's red light for some reason. And so we go, so you pick out the highlight parts instead. Which, can be honest, it can look just as good. It's all down to personal preference on the audio stuff. Because like sometimes I will paint straight with light, which can look quite nice. Out of habit, I tend to go shading and then add just rim lighting. But yeah, no, just adding highlights works just as well. Yes, so.
Sorry, random tangent there. I took us completely
No, that's absolutely fine.
5 minutes ago.
I honestly don't mind. It's it's all good. I'm happy to go wherever. Let's bring the blue back. Okay, so let's say actually let's apply this as if we're talking. Say we love this pose. So we're not just tracing. Let's say actually we need a guy with trousers running on this. So instead, let's carry on the logic. So let's go. This always, like the point of the shoe, or this point in the ankle, the stuff always rests here. It's always just physically, it's one of those things. It's a natural resting point. So we would have, from this tension point, we would go, let's say one goes around there, to this tension point, and another one like kind of sits on top, and so bunches it. And then what that does is gives you a line, hang on. I'm trying to think. If you imagine like a line here, from the back of the heel to the top part of the foot where it meets, that is basically almost always where trousers go. Again, depending on thickness and whatnot, but typically, if you look at that, that looks like a pair of jeans now.
Brilliant.
Down like that. Let me bring it down. So you can see how this applies. So we've got, okay, so we've got a few more around here because you're following around on this big bulge tension point. Around like that. And then we go further down to the ankle. We get this the kind of heel point there on the shoe, top of the shoe, so top of the foot, which will come out again. And then voila, instant. This is what it would look like if he was playing baseball in his jeans. And so let's go around like that, put that down so I can just prove it rather than this here. So that, yeah, it's going like that as well, just a few of those.
Brilliant.
There. And then if we take that away, yeah, you can see for some reason that would be, if I hide that, that would be a perfectly feasible start to drawing somebody's legs moving, kind of dodging something. And so that, yeah, you could then switch it. So you got like, say the person's like scared of something, so you got them twisting around. So let's just do something super quick because I know we're running out of time. So we say the person is looking down. You go, they're all scared because there is a tiny little spider.
Brilliant.
And there we go. And so that's kind of, and then again, there's loads of. So I can't stop. Now. I've got started to go around.
Yeah.
There's a triangle. Bring it down.
Amazing. This has been so good.
And that's how it applies. so it's not just tracing. Once you, oh no, I don't want to count. That's fine.
Love it.
Automatically saved.
Yes. Amazing. Honestly, amazing. I think the folds part at the beginning, amazing. So useful. I know that lots of people in the chat requested classes, courses, any more information. I have made a note of emotions and faces, hands and feet, fingers, showing expression through body posture, composition, leading the eye. And Tim had also requested heads, shoulders, knees and toes. Knees and toes.
We did.
So really, more David is what everyone's asking for. This stream has been amazing. I've made a lot of notes. David's back tomorrow, everybody. So come back to Behance same time. I think we're longer tomorrow, right? We're an hour and a half.
Yeah, an hour and a half tomorrow
on the stream, and you're showing more time-saving tips, how to work smarter instead of working harder. So really good. I'm going to definitely tune back in and see, you know, all of the goodness of all of this. David, it's always fun hosting you on Adobe Live. So
thank you. I always love it when you're on. That's great.
Yeah, looking forward to coming back again. It's been good fun. Thank you for joining, everybody. We had some great chat today. See you all same time tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.